I don't think any piece of tech heals anyone. I believe that all of this tech is an aid for you to heal yourself. So we are all aids, and we're going to leverage everything. We're going to leverage the placebo effect. I'm going to leverage their breath. I'm going to leverage their intentional processes. I'm going to leverage the biology and the chemistry, gas, electrical currents, everything. Like what is this mix, or at least a super powerful mix that can bring these things together? And so in my world, the mind is upstream from the body.
Welcome back to the Fitt Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Veneri. Today I'm joined by Brian Le Gette, founder and CEO of Ammortal. In this episode, we discuss the company's human optimization chamber that combines light, electrical pulses, hydrogen, and sound to create an immersive wellness experience. Plus, we talk about the mind-body connection, engineering transformation, and why personalization is the next frontier in regenerative health. Let's get into it. The Fitt Insider Podcast is presented by EGYM. EGYM's smart fitness ecosystem is transforming healthcare through exercise. Combining strength equipment with AI-powered software and corporate wellness platform WellPass, it's leading the shift to proactive preventative health. Learn more about EGYM's intelligent workout solutions at egym.com. Hi, Brian. Welcome to Fitt Insider. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Joe. Thank you so much for having me. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, super excited to chat today. You got a lot of interesting stuff going on. Let's just start at the top. A little bit about you and Ammortal, and then we'll get into specifics.
Just real brief on me. So this is fifth business for me. I've done some consumer products companies, healthcare companies overseas, some work in India and China, e-learning, a lot of different industries. This one is Path. And so I'm extremely happy about this company, and it kind of pulls all of my personal interests as well as my entrepreneurial experiences into one place, and I get to wrap myself with a great team. And Ammortal's it was a lift designing the product with a very small group of people here for a few years, lots of overlapping fields and things like that to deal with. But it was always with a knowing that it was going to function and function well. And it's been a lot of fun. We're having as a team and as a product in the market here, we're kind of in a one of one category. There are other people that are making incredible stuff, but we're finding that we're only competing, if you will, for floor space rather than against somebody, which is a really nice place to be. It also allows us to be very collaborative.
What is whether it's a tagline or the one sentence or because it is kind of so many things rolled into one, either when you conceived of it or when you're describing it now, like Ammortal is this.
Originally, we're just looking for the modalities that really stack and compound well together, that everybody needs, that calms the nervous system, supercharges the way the cell is operating, gets the mind involved with the body and the process of healing, and thinks of the whole human being. And so the idea of vibroacoustics, spoken word, meditation, breathwork, these type of things being layered in with sciences that are less interactive, if you will, with the mind and emotions, the light and the pulse electromagnetics, the molecular hydrogen, that these things are. And again, I'm going to make a statement here. I'll probably say it a couple of times, but we are not a medical device. We are a wellness product. But the sub-sciences that we are pulling together, the technology we're pulling together, are designed to de-inflame the cell, open up cell wall permeability so that performance is there, and then take out oxidative stress with the hydrogen. Everybody needs that. It doesn't matter whether you're a professional athlete or a 14-year-old with high anxiety or a 100-year-old trying to live a little bit longer with less pain and better memory. And so we all need those things. And doing it inside of a musical cocoon so that it is an enjoyable experience. That's kind of the second leg here, is get this perfect stack, make it enjoyable so that you are not enduring something. Like I use cold plunges and saunas. I have them here at my house. They're great, but I kind of have to endure something. I have to entertain myself largely in those things. And we wanted to remove that need so that you really can drop into that calm conscious space of that perfect homeostatic moment at 4 hertz brain signal of awareness, lack of awareness, and you just go on a ride. And so that's always been what we've been focused on. And what we're going to do is just keep iterating that and making it more personalized and more incredible as we move forward.
You kind of touched on, mentioned a couple of the different layers of this stack and experience, but could we circle back to like the core protocol and how you arrived at that and then started putting it together?
Originally, when I first started this company, Stephen Young, and he was working with MMA fighters. And he was playing with all the basic energy sciences, and then he was playing with chemistry stacked with these kind of physics oriented energy sciences. And he found this key mix, and that key mix was around pulsed electromagnetics and pulsed electric fields, light therapies, specifically red and near infrared light therapies, and then mixing that. We tried oxygen, hydrogen, all kinds of different mixes, looking for the best outcome. And he had MMA fighters, top 20 professional, that were supposed to not be able to practice for 8, 9, 10 months because of a knee injury or something like that. And he would have them fighting and winning in the ring in 5 to 6 weeks. So whatever that injury was, now he layered in breath work, and he layered in setting an intention about healing into your knee or whatever the injured area might be. And so it was those combinations of his successes with MMA fighters. And we looked at this and realized that it extends to everybody. These are the same sciences that we need. But instead of working on a joint like he was doing, we said, let's work on the entire body and the entire being, from conscious mind to the toes.
There's kind of a lot of buzzwords in the wellness longevity space now, and that could be optimization, that could be health span, nervous system reset, cellular repair. Like, do you think about and do you position it to tackle each one of those things, or more like you said, just this kind of all-in-one experience where it's you don't have to endure something, you don't have to focus on what you're doing, you have this kind of experience and then the outcome that you want. So how do you think about like where it sits?
There's a baseline to how the chamber operates that's just simply going to do good things. And it doesn't matter. We don't need to worry about necessarily the individual or the personalization, if you will, on this. Now, as we begin to move forward, we have some personalization in this, in that you get to pick the outcome you're seeking. And there's different ways in which we're sequencing the energy, doing some of the guidance and the breath work, as well as the music. And we have up to 26 layers of tracks inside of the vibroacoustics and the musics and the guided voice, some 4 hertz brain entrainment or whatever. So we may do different mixes based on the outcome. So if you want to get ready to go to sleep, or you've got jet lag, or you want to get into flow state to write a book, or you're having a difficult emotional moment, or you want to go kick ass on a football field, whatever it is, or recover after that game if you've injured something, whatever that is, there's an outcome, and you can pick that outcome, energy sequence, music, and layered soundtrack compositions and vibroacoustics designed to get you to that outcome. So I'll call that personalization, in that you get to pick one of those 7 outcomes, right? For where your moment is and where your body and mind are at that moment. As we move forward, we'll be doing a tremendous amount of direct personalization to that person. Without diving into that, since none of this is released, just indicate that we're going to be getting hyper personalized in the session. And so we'll be tuning very much towards your outcome, monitoring what's happening as you're going, and then tuning the machine.
So maybe, and like you said, not diving too much into it, but biometrics, tracking those things in real time, adjusting based on those, and really helping people dial in. You mentioned this being part of really maybe personal mission experiences. How did those things come together, whether it's your kind of personal experiences and philosophies or interests, and then having the opportunity to bring that into a company and a product?
Yeah. All of those things actually combined into this. I feel like every company I did before this was the training wheels for, and I had a one Inc. number 9 500 of the Inc. 500 company. So I've had successes. I've also smashed my face into the wall like most entrepreneurs. And so all that felt like it was just preparing me for this business. And then this business was so mission connected with my personal self, my wife, my friend network, like my tribe, if you will. This is what we talk about. It's what we do. And so all of that was there. And then this kind of the ability to come into an industry, I call it obliquely. I'm not from the industry. I've created a couple hundred different products with amazing teams. And I like to come into industries a little bit at an angle where I don't know what I can't do and don't know what's supposed to be happening and don't even know what other people are doing. I didn't look at anybody. I didn't analyze the industry at all. And that may sound very odd to a lot of entrepreneurs that like to plan. I didn't. I just, this was not in there. I couldn't see it any place. No more research needed. Let's go make it. And I had used the sciences, each one of them in different ways. I was very familiar with them. I knew some of the research on stacking. I've always been paying attention to my health, everything from toxins to in food and in what you eat, drink, breathe, apply, and wear, but also in what you think. And so, in playing in that space personally, very interested in it. And this is kind of the culmination of entrepreneurial skills coming together with personal interest, coming together with a magical business partner. And I've had several now that have joined this. And so all of that kind of swirling together.
Putting all the pieces together, the technology, the kind of stacking, difficult enough in and of itself. Then you mentioned, kind of competing for space. Like, where does it go? How are people experiencing it? More recently, you had the kind of, it was a viral story in my feed, at least, with Matthew Stafford using the product to heal himself. And there were kind of jokes to, is he cloning himself in there? Did he create a better version of himself? But in terms of go to market, like, how did he come upon it? How are you getting it in front of people? How are they experiencing it? Like, what's the best case for this is where Immortal shows up?
It's a very hands-on type of experiential product. It's tough to say, yeah, I'm going to go buy a $160,000 item without trying it right first. You're going to at least sit in the car that you might buy at that price. And drive it around. And so we needed to do experiences. And so we didn't do any advertising or really any marketing at all other than show up at events and get people into the chamber and leverage network. All of us we've done, I think, 12 exits between the guys that are in the senior team in here. So we all have networks. And so we were able to kind of plug into those. And the combination of events and relationships and network is getting us kind of sales traction. I wasn't aware at the beginning that we would have kind of this really unique space. We're at a price point that's got very few other people around us. Interesting that a lot of articles get tagged with the price point of the product first. Whatever they want to write the article about is fine with us. And so I think that has served us really well. And we now have a full marketing department. We're doing, kind of the full breadth of what you might think of as marketing activities, not stopping the events. In fact, we're doubling up. We are adding another Airstream, which is what you're talking about. This new Airstream that just came out this week actually is it's going to be up in Boston, and it's got two chambers in it instead of one. It's a very linear relationship. The more Airstream experiences we have, the more events we show up, like the biohacking conference at Asprey's back at the middle of the year. We had 4 chambers in different locations. We fill them, we jam them up in minutes as soon as we open up the invites. And so it's just how many kind of potential buyers can we get through those experiences at how many different events? And it just keeps snowballing.
And I think I've seen a couple, whether it's kind of hotels, resorts, I'd imagine places like maybe longevity clinics, higher end fitness centers, other places. Have you started to think about what that looks like, what the kind of target customer is?
We have units in all the verticals that we're interested in with good partners. And so the Proper Hotel in Santa Monica, so we had a great relationship with Proper. We're at Yellowstone Club and in with Discovery Land Company, working with, which has several different places, Gaza Ranch and so on. Several large hotel chains of very premium brands. Those are all either getting installed or will be getting installed with an idea to being throughout the entire chain. And several large chains of other types of hospitality and or on the fitness side and or on the med spa clinic. All of those verticals we're creating really strong partnerships with. We feel like folks that really understand what they're doing, that have other equipment that really complements and creates a great solution set for whoever walks in the door.
Both in terms of how you've described maybe some of the features that are coming, personalization and partners. I think all I have to say, moving very quickly, things, a lot
Yes.
of momentum, a lot of excitement and energy, and more to be announced, as those things come fully online. With that, do you think of this? Do you describe it as a product, a service, a platform? Some of these things continuing obviously to evolve over time as maybe new technologies and personalizations. Like, do you have, what is that kind of broader vision to the extent that you're able to share it for like how this grows?
Depending on who I'm talking to, like your audience is, it's a fantastic. By the way, just a quick thank you. And this is not me shining you in any way. Just thank you for doing what you're doing for the industry. It matters. There's not a lot of places that have your focus, and so I appreciate that. So with some of your audience, I might call this a platform, right? And it is that, and it will be a family, and there are a bunch of things that we have that are planned, but that platform has it's a scale and scope thing. There's a various ways to measure what I mean by platform. So this will be something that in the future there will be many different downloadable type upgrades. There's a bunch of things happening with this. From another perspective, if I'm talking to a user of the chamber, I would call this an experience. It is a service, and so if I'm selling this, I'm selling this. They're selling it as a service, but it's really it's a full human being. It's a service. And so for the more esoteric of minded people that are a little bit more in the woo space, we have people that are running spas, and they call this the spirit chamber, right? So this is the chamber where you can go in, and if it happens, you can have an opportunity for a transcendent moment, because we've calmed the nervous system, cohered the mind and the heart, and put you into this fantastic homeostatic space with all those energies changing how the mind is working and the body is working, and amazing things happen. And so they would describe this as the spirit chamber. I've had someone call this a consciousness theater, right? So that's at one end of that description of experience. But for the average person that goes in, they can expect that this is a very calming, physically, mentally calming experience. And then your body is going to be in some state of higher performance. But I would call it an experience, to be direct to your question.
This episode of the Fitt Insider Podcast is brought to you by EGYM. EGYM makes some of the most innovative strength training machines on the market, but that's only one part of their integrated ecosystem. With connected fitness equipment, AI-powered gym software, and a comprehensive corporate wellness offering, it's forging the future of preventative health. Partnering with companies worldwide, EGYM's WellPass program improves employee health by expanding access to premier fitness and health facilities. Upgrading gym floors, EGYM equips every operator with smart equipment and AI tools to create hyper-personalized training plans for every exerciser. Putting it all together, they're transforming healthcare through exercise. Experience the power of EGYM's ecosystem at egym.com. Yeah, and just to that point around maybe the consciousness or spirit chamber, or even and this what tends to happen across whether it's longevity or biohacking or any of the, like, it does get tagged with, it's 160K or it's a $50,000 membership, or it's, uh, you just said it, I think, the right way. It's like, as long as they're writing about us, kind of, is like, that it's great for us. To what extent do you think about, or even maybe push back against, like, oh, it's woo woo, it's this technology, it's making this, like, how do you think about that?
It's pretty easy. Like we, inside the company, if we're talking to someone who's very scientific and they're looking for measurable data and all the stuff that we love, right? We say, look, we've got it. We'll talk to you, but please get into the chamber first. And they're like, well, I really want to know, like, just if you would please have an experience. When they come out, we are, you can straw man or steel man something, right? So I can change that person from the one that's the skeptic to the one that wants this to be real, simply by having the experience, whatever their experience is. And so, again, professional athletes, we're in multiple professional football and baseball teams with really amazing relationships blossoming inside of both of those leagues, and a bunch of other leagues that are going to be coming online. We're doing a tremendous amount of very special studies and test and measurement and so on across the mind, across the body. But with all of that, all of you can imagine, we go to every one of those guys and they're like, show me the data. How is this doing? And yeah, I'm calm, but what's happening? And so it's been easy actually to just say, look, that red light frequency, right? And just break it down. They're like, yeah, well, okay, you know what it does. Yeah, you know what that near infrared light frequency does. Do you know what red light does inside of a pulsed electromagnetic field? Yeah, well, it adds like a 50% compounding effect. Here's the study. And so we can go through the sub technologies, and they're like, okay, yeah, I get how this does that, does this, stacks with this. And they like that detail for that person. And then for the others, we will show up outside of a potential client with the Airstream, run their clients through it, and their clients just walk back in and go, get that. Right. I feel completely different. I slept last night for the first time. My shoulder pain is gone. And I'm not claiming that the chamber's doing that, right? I'm just saying that people have these experiences that they can't explain, anecdotal experiences by the thousands. And so it's enough that people want to pay for it because they know and feel that it works. And then we can satisfy that kind of science-minded person because we are those people.
There's no shortage of other modalities, technologies, and even if you look at something, and these are great in their own right, whether it's a hyperbaric oxygen or maybe something like a float tank, they serve different purposes, right? And you said you have a couple of a cold tub and a sauna and these things, but obviously what you all are doing has hit on a certain level of awareness, excitement, momentum. How did that happen?
Well, we have a strong guess that we know what this is. It was intentional from the very beginning as we were doing this, and like every product category you just described, I'm a fan of. I love float tanks, right? I love salt, sauna, hot, like whatever. All of them have proven value, and I like when any company is coming together, saving time and adding compounding, like putting things together, especially in this country where we just have no time. This is important. But there are really good products that work on the biology, right? The chemistry, the biology of the body, the physics of the body, right? There are really good products that work on the brain or the conscious mind separate from the brain, right? So there are really great products that are working on emotions. They're working on stress. They're working on helping people meditate, using breath work, these type of things. And there are these outstanding examples in the industry, many of them. People that I refer people to, they're like, who would you recommend for this? And I have a list of people in every one of these categories. I'm like, buy that one. These guys do a good product and they care about you, right? These are my two categories of decision on any brand. And so what we were trying to do was not try to treat the human being a little bit like whack-a-mole. And that's not to knock those solutions. This is just what we were trying to think of by comparison was, well, wait a minute, we need to approach the whole human being. Like their mind is part of the healing process, even if I'm working on pain in the knee or whatever, sleep issues. And so whatever we're working on, we're going to work on the entire biology, chemistry, physics, consciousness, the mind, the body, the brain. And so by coming at it that way, and we will do this with every single thing you ever see coming from us. We'll always approach the entire human being. Because if I'm really good at the body, I'm really good at banging that mole, right? But these things over here, and we are an interconnected system, a holistic system. And so especially when we all know that healing, and let me take another step back. And I don't think any piece of tech heals anyone. I believe that all of this tech is an aid for you to heal yourself. So we are all aids. It's almost like the user is, we're all underwater in the United States, right? With toxins and bad food and lack of movement and lack of presence processes and all these things. And a lot of the healthcare industry, not our industry, but a lot of the healthcare industry, walking around with a snorkel. Good intentioned, wonderful people. Hey, here's a snorkel. Are you breathing? Great. I got to bring a snorkel down to that guy. And that's allowing us to get to the next moment, but it's not changing our status, right? We wanted to change our status. And so for us, it's how do I get their head above water? I can't do that without addressing the entire being of that person. And we're going to leverage everything. We're going to leverage the placebo effect. I'm going to leverage their breath. I'm going to leverage their intentional processes. I'm going to leverage the biology and the chemistry, gas, electrical currents, everything. Like what is this mix, or at least a super powerful mix that can bring these things together? And so in my world, the mind is upstream from the body. The placebo effect, I joke and say, is a giant pink elephant on your shoulder. And it's there all the time. And it's going, hey, you ready to know that your mind is in charge of your body? No? Okay, I'll wait. All the studies of every drug, the placebo effect outperforms it, every chemotherapy, everything, right? So we know that the mind in disciplined belief can cure whatever. Well, let's not ignore the mind then, right? Let's bring the mind in. So creating this beautiful musical vibratory experience with a guide, helping you to set an intention, helping you to calm that nervous system, and then putting you right at that aware, not aware, 4 hertz brain state to just allow you to float. It's this fantastic space and of this homeostatic space, right? And in that space, all your own body systems, especially when you add a little light, add a little electromagnetics, add a little hydrogen gas, everything's just kicking in gear. It's just this, it's an instant symphony that we didn't have to write. We just needed to get their head above water.
I always think this is an interesting, whenever you're introducing a new technology or experience or packaging in a certain way, or even tying it to like a lot of you're talking about the overall mind and body and how those things are connected. It's like, how much do we need to explain to somebody what's happening, or do they just need to get in there, feel it? And as long as they feel better on the other side of it, it's like, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Like, obviously you want it to be supported and you want to point to all the studies and things like that. But like, look, if we can just change their state or their outcome or their feelings, like that's kind of the thing that we want. And ultimately what's going to propel the business forward.
Yeah, ultimately the data is great. If I had an app at the end of this, and we may, but if I had an app at the end of this and it gave me my stats, great. This improved to that, right? I think that matters. If someone just feels it, they slept different, they woke up in the morning and felt like they could skip their caffeine, like things just changed, then it doesn't matter what the data is. And I'm a huge believer that knowledge and knowing really need to be separated. Like when people come out of the chamber, they have a knowing that something just happened with no knowledge. They don't know how that happened. And I'm going to lean into this knowing. I'm going to lean into these systems that do this. We'll take care of the knowledge. We'll take care of the data. We're not going to trouble people with that. We're going to try to stay as focused on. How about this? We're going to try to stay focused on keeping them focused on that feeling and that knowing and that change, rather than analyzing things.
Maybe a couple more questions before we wrap up. One, just thinking about also hitting on, obviously striking the right chord. How, talking to you, even for this limited amount of time, it's clear to me that it was conscious, but maybe how did you arrive at chamber versus bed or table or whatever else it could have been?
This is a topic of many hours. And so we started calling it, we were just calling it the immortal originally. And you realize that people need a noun. And so they would apply the noun that if you didn't give them one, they're going to give you one. And then you get different words to describe it. And bed just didn't fit. This is far more than a bed. It does have a surface that you lie on. And there was no other word that fit. And even though chamber isn't a great fit, chamber made us think of an all-encompassing thing. And that had a deeper connection with what we're really trying to do, the whole human being, the whole space, the whole solution. And so that's where we arrived at chamber.
Like I said, however you got there, it does very much, like, I think maybe if you looked at it in hindsight or looking at it now, it's like, oh yeah, that was the right choice. It's like glad that we landed on that. In terms of, we kind of already touched on the fact that a lot going on, a lot of kind of momentum, things coming up and dropping. What do you think of as like long-term vision, or to the extent that it's a roadmap or a plan, or just directionally where you want to go with this?
We'll be expanding internationally next year. We have a lot of cool stuff coming. And so without being able to necessarily talk about that, just better and more individualized and then expanded. I look at this as kind of an unlimited vertical that we're in. It's really unlimited. We're in multiple market verticals, but the understanding that we are energy and frequencies, right, and vibration and so on, and that we are just at the nibbling at what can be. And the idea of a full body, all human, full, whole human, right? Mind and body, and I'll call it mind, body, spirit, if you will, that model just continues to keep evolving. And we never stop in R&D. Our R&D engine never stops. We are constantly creating. And so, and the science, everything from what you can do with an LED or various types of sensors, they're changing like this. And if I add in AI and what it can do inside the chamber, with design, with creativity in general, this is just going to keep speeding up and speeding up and speeding up and speeding up. And so the opportunity for us, like the kids in the candy shop, right, type of approach to this, which is how we get up every day, is this is just a big sandbox and we've built a great castle. And now it's time to, what else are we going to build in the sandbox? This is so much fun. We happen to be living in this moment where the hardware, the software, the science, everything is just expanding so fast that it's an infinite play space. And so I think if you're thinking about Immortal, think that you should be getting wowed regularly. Otherwise, from my perspective, if you're not going, wow, that product's an amazing, whatever, then we are not doing what I believe our brand is going to go do. And I think that opportunity is out there for everybody. And I would, if you don't mind, I would add in just that we are infinite collaborators. And so the market's at 0.00001% of what it's going to be, I believe. And I believe there's a tremendous amount of creative capability and a tremendous amount of need. And there's lots of room. I joke and say, we're on a wave, let's say. And I can't see the end of it in either direction. I can't see the shore. I'm riding on a longboard the size of a wall. There's plenty of space, around us for lots of creativity. And I believe that the science mixed with AI is forcing us into a way of rethinking about what it means to be an entrepreneur in this space, what it means to be a creator in this space. It isn't patent everything and rely on those patents, because that's going to shift and change with AI. It's not about fences and moats. It's about who can I work with so that we can take that piece of science and that piece of hardware and this piece of whatever and pull 5 years forward in the future to now, because we collaborated together. We have all the AI and everything else that's coming out right now, the computational power, the ability to do this stuff is now. And so I have great relationships with multiple other CEOs, and we are collaborating. So if we see a sensor that would be great for 4 or 5 companies, let's go do that. It may cost something. Who's going to bear that cost? How are we sharing this thing? How do we build it so that it makes sense to everybody?
Absolutely. And that's how we also kind of think about the space. And one of the best parts of feedback from conversations like this is hopefully we can play a small role in facilitating some of those kind of partnerships and relationships. And whether it's somebody who wants to learn more, maybe experience it as a consumer, or somebody from a partnership side, where would you point them? What's the best way to kind of learn more, get in touch?
You can contact us straight through the website. If anyone is looking for information on commercial locations to be able to try this, that's also on the website at the very top. It just says locations. And you can see we immediately, as soon as a new location comes up, we're going to celebrate it on that page. And if it's a more of a commercial client that's looking for something like that, again, they can come straight through the website or go to sales at Immortal, and it will arrive right at a group that will immediately get back in touch with them. If it's a collaborator, somebody that wants to connect with us, I'm happy to talk to them. They can reach out to me directly. I'm just at Brian at Immortal. And we're very open to having those types of conversations. We're doing collaborations in kind of any way that someone might think about that. We're also raising a round of capital right now, our first Series A, and of 20 million. And so that's out there as well for those that want to discuss that.
It's kind of all systems go. We'll make sure everything you mentioned there is kind of easy to find in the show notes, and we'll do our best to keep everyone up to date as the various announcements come. Continue to, whether it's new features, new locations, and just keep up with the journey too. And we're super grateful that you made a couple minutes to chat with us today. Looking forward to sharing the conversation and continuing to follow along.
Thank you, Joe. This was a lot of fun. Again, I really appreciate what you do. It's super helpful. Thank you. Appreciate it for the opportunity too.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you got value from the conversation, please consider subscribing and sharing the podcast with a friend or colleague. It's a massive help. And if you want more content like this, including news and insights on the latest industry developments, subscribe to the Fitt Insider newsletter at insider.fit.co. And one more thing, you can learn more about our recruiting and consulting services at fit.co. That's FITT.co. I'll see you here next week.